George Victor Voinovich was an American politician from the state of Ohio and born in Cleveland. Voinovich, a member of the Republican Party, served as a United States Senator from 1999 to 2011, is the 65th Governor of Ohio from 1991 to 1998 and is the 54th Mayor of Cleveland from 1980 to 1989, becoming the last Republican to serve in that office. Voinovich spent more than 46 years in public service, first as Assistant Attorney General of Ohio in 1963, and finally as the senior United States Senator representing Ohio. He is the 15th person to have served both as the Governor of Ohio and as a U.S. Senator, and one of only two people to have been the Mayor of Cleveland, Governor of Ohio, and a United States Senator. The other was Frank Lauscher, who, like Voinovich, was of Slovenian descent. He is the only person to have served as both Chairman of the National Governors Association and President of the National League of Cities. In his 2004 re-election to the U.S. Senate, Voinovich garnered more than 3.4 million votes, nearly 64%. No other candidate in Ohio's recorded history has received as many votes as Senator Voinovich did in 2004. Also, in 2004, Senator Voinovich won all 88 of Ohio's counties, a feat accomplished only once before, more than 100 years before. Early life. Voinovich was born in Cleveland, Ohio, the son of Josephine and George S. Voinovich. He was the oldest of 6 children. His father was of Croatian Serb descent, and his mother was of Slovenian ancestry. Voinovich grew up in the Collinwood neighborhood of Cleveland and graduated from Collinwood High School in 1954. Voinovich was raised Catholic and was a lifelong member of his neighborhood parish, Our Lady of the Lake in Collinwood. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in government from Ohio University in 1958, where he served as president of the student body and the men's dormitory system. Voinovich received a law degree in 1961 from the Moritz College of Law at the Ohio State University. He was also a part of the fraternity Phi Kappa Tau at Ohio University. Early career. Voinovich began his political career in 1963 as an Assistant Attorney General of Ohio. He then served as a member of the Ohio House of Representatives from 1967 until 1971. From 1971 until 1976, he served as County Auditor of Cuyahoga County, Ohio. In 1971, he made an unsuccessful run for the Republican nomination for mayor of Cleveland against Ralph J. Burke, who went on to win the general election. From 1977 to 1978, Voinovich served as a member of the Cuyahoga County Board of Commissioners. In 1978, Voinovich was elected Lieutenant Governor of Ohio on the ticket with James A. Rhodes. Mayor of Cleveland, 1980 to 1989. 1979 Cleveland mayoral election. By 1979, elections in Cleveland had become non-partisan, and with then Mayor Dennis J. Kucinich about to enter a tough re-election campaign, Voinovich began to consider running for mayor again. Finally, on July 26, he made one of the most difficult decisions in life. He held his office as lieutenant governor until he won the election. Aside from Kucinich, Voinovich's other opponents included State Senator Charles Butts and City Council Majority Leader Basil Russo. As the election drew closer, the Plain Dealer announced its endorsement of Voinovich. Voter turnout in the primary was greater than that of the 1977 race among Perk Kucinich and Edward F. Thayen. In the 1979 non-partisan primary election, Voinovich led with 47,000 votes to 36,000 for Kucinich. Russo and Butts did not qualify for the general election. The biggest surprise was Voinovich's showing in predominantly African-American wards where he was expected to finish last. He trailed only Butts, with Kucinich last. On October 8, 1979, a few days after the primary, Voinovich's 9-year-old daughter Molly was struck by a van and killed. The event brought the Voinovich campaign to a virtual halt and made it difficult for Kucinich to attack his opponent. Still, he challenged Voinovich to a series of debates to be held in various Cleveland neighborhoods. Voinovich declined the invitations, saying they would be unproductive, although they eventually did meet in a debate on November 3 at the City Club. Voinovich went on to win the election with 94,541 votes to Kucinich's 73,755. Voinovich went on to be re-elected twice by landslides. In 1981 he defeated former state representative Patrick Sweeney, 107,472 to 32,940, to win Cleveland's first four-year mayoral term. In 1985 he defeated former councilman Gary Kucinich, 82,840 to 32,185. The comeback city. Voinovich was considered shy and a rather low-key politician, a description he adopted himself. Once elected, he met with then Ohio Governor James Rhodes to solicit the state government's help in clearing up the city's debts. Voinovich negotiated a debt repayment schedule, and in October 1980, with the state serving as guarantor, 8 local banks lent Cleveland $36.2 million, allowing the city to emerge from default. Despite this, the city's economy continued to decline and federal funding was cut. 2 weeks earlier, voters turned down another 0.5% income tax increase. The opposition was led by Kucinich, who had been keeping a low profile since his defeat in the 1979 election. Voinovich said he would resubmit the tax issue on the February ballot to avoid facing a deficit in 1981. This time the voters approved the tax increase. By the time Voinovich was elected, Cleveland was the butt of late-night comedians' jokes, where the river and mayor's hair burned, and the only major American city to go bankrupt. When Boston Mayor Kevin White remarked that the city's finances had gone from Camelot to Cleveland, Voinovich protested. White responded by saying that Boston had survived facetious remarks from a wide range of jokesters, from Mark Twain to Johnny Carson. "I'm sure Cleveland will also," he said. Voinovich took an aggressive approach. He reversed a defensive attitude projected by the Cleveland media, going to war to save one of this country's greatest cities. Others soon jumped on board. For instance, the Smythe-Kramer Co., a local realty firm, tried to restore the city's former glory by running a series of ads with photographs of downtown Cleveland captioned, "Take another look. It's Cleveland." Quote, in May 1981, the Plain Dealer sent its Sunday subscribers bumper stickers saying, "New York's the Big Apple, but Cleveland's a plum." The paper also passed out thousands of "Cleveland's a plum" buttons and also ran a huge picture of publisher Thomas Vail, with a smiling Voinovich beside him, throwing out the first plum at a Yankees-Indians game. Sportscaster Howard Cosell hailed the city during a baseball game, and Voinovich subsequently presented him with a key to the city. A survey showed 65% of the residents of Greater Cleveland were very satisfied with the life in the city, and even 57% claimed to be very satisfied, even in 1978, the year of default. Also, a national poll rated Detroit as the city with the worst image, with New York City second. Cleveland was fifth worst. The New Cleveland Campaign, a promotion agency formed in 1978, began sending out news releases bragging about Cleveland's virtues and proudly circulating reprints whenever it got a favorable story. Unfortunately, to show how much the New Cleveland had improved, it had to highlight how bad the old Cleveland was. In particular, it stressed the city's 1978 default of $15.5 million short-term loans from a local banks, even though New York City owed nearly 150 times as much when it received a $2.3 billion federal bailout to avoid bankruptcy in 1975. The Restoration campaign reached its peak in October with the society magazine Town and Country. Cleveland's Come Around explained how businessmen, lawyers and concerned citizens rescued the city from the petulant, pugnacious Dennis Kucinich. It called Voinovich's Operation Improvement Task Force under E. Mandel Wind the most significant undertaking in Cleveland since Moses Cleveland stepped ashore on the bank of the Cuyahoga River in 1786. It also enticed its readers with Lake Erie and its beautiful and exciting year-round sailing. So confident was Voinovich that during election season, he even attracted presidential candidates Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan to debate in Cleveland. Cleveland is making a comeback. Time declared at the close of 1980. During the past year, convention business has flourished. School desegregation has proceeded peacefully and a modest construction boom has begun. Most impressive of all, the city dug itself out of default. Downtown development and other improvements. In order to accomplish more, Voinovich felt that the terms for mayor and Cleveland City Council ought to be extended. He offered a referendum to voters to extend them from 2 to 4 years and additionally asked voters to approve cutting down the number of council members from 33 to 21 in order to help ease the city's strained economy. They approved both requests. Throughout the Voinovich years, neighborhoods began to see some improvements, starting with the Lexington Village Housing Project. $149 million in urban development action grants and $3 billion of construction underway are completed. In particular, the neighborhoods of Huff and Fairfax, then two of Cleveland's worst East Side neighborhoods, began to see new houses built and lesser amount of criminal activity. Voinovich also quietly moved to reconcile the warring groups of the 1970s. He made peace with business leaders and even posed with them in photographs that ran in New Cleveland campaign ads in business magazines, captioned with the Voinovich slogan, "Together, we can do it." Quote, he refined the neighborhood groups, which, with the breakdown of the Democratic Party, became the most potent political force in the city. He also extended his hand to unions as well, in particular the Teamsters Truck Union. As mayor, Voinovich was a member of the National League of Cities and was elected president in 1985. Voinovich also oversaw a huge-scale urban renaissance. Downtown, Ohio Bell, and Eaton Corporation all built new offices downtown. Brothers Richard and David Jacobs astonished the city by rescuing its troubled Indians franchise, ultimately turning it around for the better. The two also improved the desolate area located by the Air Review Tower and turned it into the glass-roofed Galleria at Air Review. Voinovich also enticed Society Bank to build the Society Center, the largest skyscraper in Cleveland and the 15th largest in the nation. In addition, the National Civic League awarded Cleveland the All-America City Award 3 times in 5 years, in addition to its first one in 1950. Municipal light. One of the key issues surrounding the previous Kucinich administration was canceling the sale of Cleveland Municipal Light. Kucinich's insistence on saving it from being absorbed into the Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company led the business community to force Cleveland into default. Voinovich's successful negotiations reversed this action when he first assumed office as mayor. However, Voinovich's pro-business attitude did not change CEI's position on the issue, as they persisted in making efforts to buy out Muni Light and pressuring Voinovich into giving them the right to do so. Voinovich resisted. Early in his tenure, he arranged for capital improvements to strengthen the operation of Muni Light, and by 1982, it was able to compete with K. He asserted that the company was making attempts to cripple Muni Light by lobbying council against much-needed legislation. "We still have a battle going on," Voinovich said. "They are as dedicated as ever to laying away the municipal light system." The rebuilding process began through Voinovich's administration, and improvements were made throughout the company, including equipment upgrades and increased wages for all employees. To properly reflect all of the positive change in the company, Municipal Light officially changed its name to Cleveland Public Power in 1983. In 1984, the company received the Scattergood Award from the American Municipal Power Association for Outstanding System Operation and Achievement. 1988 Senate race. In 1988, Voinovich ran for the Senate seat of Howard Metzenbaum in what was a hard-fought and negative campaign. Voinovich accused Metzenbaum of being soft on child pornography, charges that were roundly criticized by many, including John Glenn, Metzenbaum's Democratic Party rival and then Senate colleague, who recorded a statement for television refuting Voinovich's charges. Voinovich was also ridiculed for carrying around a cardboard cutout of Metzenbaum as he challenged him to multiple debates. Metzenbaum won the election by 57% to 43%, even as George H.W. Bush carried the state by 11%. Governorship. In 1990, Voinovich was nominated by the Republicans to replace Governor Richard F. Celeste, a Democrat who was barred from running for a third consecutive term. In that race, Voinovich, who learned from his defeat in the 1988 Senate race, defeated Anthony J. Celebrezze, Jr., easily in what was considered to be a close to faultless campaign. During his first 4 years, he pulled Ohio out of a $1.5 billion deficit and was a national leader in welfare reform and eliminating unfunded mandates. In 1991, Voinovich served as the chairman of the Midwestern Governors Association. In 1994, Voinovich was re-elected to the governorship, defeating Democrat Robert L. Birch, Jr. in a massive landslide. Voinovich won with the largest percentage of the vote, 72%, of any governor-up for election that year, and it was the largest margin of victory for any Ohio governor in the 20th century. In addition, Voinovich's running mate Nancy Hollister was the state's first female lieutenant governor, and he appointed as state treasurer former Cincinnati Mayor Kenneth Blackwell, who became the first African-American to hold state office in Ohio. Voinovich's tenure as governor saw Ohio's unemployment rate fall to a 25-year low. The state created more than 500,000 new jobs. The Medicaid growth rate had been cut by more than 2/3, and enrollment in welfare had been cut in half. Under Voinovich, Ohio was ranked number 1 in the nation by Side Selection magazine for new and expanding business facilities. Second term. Voinovich's second term was quite productive, and in 1995 he was named Public Official of the Year by the National Journal. He is credited with having provided leadership in having created a public voucher plan to improve student achievement by using public funds to pay tuition at church-affiliated schools. After significant litigation over the voucher program, the U.S. Supreme Court Court ruled in a 5-4 decision that the program did not violate the constitutional prohibition against promoting religion in public schools. By the end of his second term, Ohio led the nation in percentage of eligible children participating in Head Start program. When the state legislature wanted to close Central State University, Ohio's only historically black state-supported college, Voinovich stepped in by appointing a new board and convincing John Garland to become president. As both mayor and governor, Voinovich fought tirelessly to showcase Cleveland as the true birthplace of rock and roll. Beginning in 1985, Voinovich, the city of Cleveland and the state of Ohio began lobbying for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum to be built in Cleveland. In 1993, ground was broken for construction, and in 1995 the Rock Hall opened. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame renamed the main atrium of the Rock Hall the George V. Voinovich Atrium for his leadership and vision in helping to bring the Rock Hall to Cleveland. Beyond the governor's office, in 1996, Voinovich was the first governor to endorse U.S. Senator Robert J. Dale's bid for the Republican presidential nomination. Later, Voinovich was among 9 candidates asked to submit to background checks as potential vice presidential running mates with Dale. However, Voinovich withdrew his name from consideration, reiterating his desire to run for the U.S. Senate in 1998. In 1998, barred from running for a third term as governor due to term limits, Voinovich set his eyes on the U.S. Senate seat being vacated by longtime incumbent Democrat John Glenn. Voinovich avenged his loss in the 1988 Senate race with a victory this time, defeating Democrat Mary O. Boyle. Voinovich was succeeded briefly by Nancy Hollister upon his resignation as governor and before he entered the Senate. Hollister was succeeded by the newly elected Bob Taft in January 1999. It was the first time a Republican governor in Ohio had been succeeded by a Republican governor since 1904.